Ah, what a crazy world we live in. What a crazy world. You can't make this stuff up. I think, from my perspective, it's like a big child's playground. And we're all being watched by the teachers and the headmasters from the staff room window, while they're all having a nice warm tea break. All the kids are outside in the cold, bullying each other and plotting and scheming and planning and calling each other the worst names under the sun. The school playground is one of the worst environments in my imagination. I've been on building sites, in forestry work, in the rock and roll business, in different types of workplaces, and I still think the schoolyard is one of the most vicious little places to be. I think it's because different classes, literally different classes clash, different social levels, different, kids with different backgrounds. You get the rich kids and the poor kids, and you can see it on the clothes, the clothes that the parents can buy for them. Even in schools where the uniform, where there's like mandatory uniform, you can see the quality of the uniform that the kids have. And so it created a class division, like snobbery. Kids getting picked on for having less money or whatever. It's the same in this society, it's nothing more than a children's playground. Based on rules and statutes, things like rules that we're supposed to follow as a society. But when you look at the whole thing, the amount of research that I've looked into about government and politics and how politics works and how the media works and how it all ties in together, how the politics uses the media for propaganda purposes in all kinds of ways, Government really means to govern the mentality, to govern the behaviour. A government's duty is to control the behaviour of the people, to make sure the people don't all flip out. It sort of replaces a king, replaces sort of a figurehead, somebody who speaks for the whole. But that same sort of national feeling, we're kind of always like born into a country that speaks a language, and that country is then the nation, the nationality, nativity, and it's like a nativity play. Everything outside of that country matters less, And that's why I often speak about like nationality being pretty much like a religion in itself. In fact, I can see no difference, a system based on belief. When we believe in a flag and a hymn and, a nation, we believe in a nation and a government that runs that nation. We believe in those things. We give them faith. It's a belief system. It's nothing other than a religion. And we need governments because we can't govern ourselves, In a society where the majority of people can govern themselves and a small tribe of others, a tribe is self-governing. Nations have become tribes, and the head of the nation has become the tribe leader. And if you look at the head of a nation, you've got the head of government. The prime minister becomes head of the head of this corporation, this corp. So the nation is like a Frankenstein's body with an arms, with an arms department, and with a legal department, a legs department, and a body of law, and a head. And when we vote, we swap the head, like Wurzel Gummidge, like a scarecrow. You just swap the head and vote a new head for the body, for the corporation. And so that's the kind of head that we've got thinking for us in our nation, in our playground, and the headmasters and the headmistresses and the teachers and the the civil servants and that, they're following their little schedules, their little rules, their little commands, keeping everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing in this nation, that nation, the other nation, this government, that government. But when you move beyond the nation and move beyond that playground to a different nation where there's a different language, and if you could speak that language and look at it like your own language, you would see it's no different. Really, it's got a different attitude, there's slightly different laws. But you'll find, if you go to another nation or another country, another place, you'll find more like-minded people there than you do in your own street. You know, people like you and me are spread all across the world. It's got nothing to do with language. What makes us similar is something in our hearts, something in our soul, something that goes beyond language. Language has just become a tool, and there's so many different languages around the world. No one can speak to everybody in languages, but we can speak in gestures. We all have the same similar needs in life. And sometimes that living without language, living without the need to talk, is far more intuitive, far more loving, far more caring, because we're thinking about what the other person wants without the need for them to express that in words. It means we start to look more closely and listen more closely to the melody and to the gestures. We become more sensitive to life. So in a way, the idea of moving outside of a country where you can't understand the language anymore, or it's a different culture, that's a perfect chance to be understood. I've always found that I'm more understood by people who don't speak the same language, because they give understanding. It's crazy, really, in a world where nations, where the nativity plays out, and the nations are all at war with each other, and we need governments because otherwise we'd lose the war against another nation, and they've got a government, so we need a government, and we need a military because they've got a military, and they've got a bomb, so we need a bomb. But this is just a nativity play between imaginary nations that don't exist, because we're friends beyond borders. We're friends beyond language. We're friends beyond even actually physically being able to touch each other, because we're more like-minded in our hearts and in our souls. Over the time, governments, nations, they gained a lot of power, too much power, gained all of the power from the people, created the rule of law that's kind of confused people, and people don't know how to work the law. So the justice system is now corrupted. The justice system, it works on its own interests. The educational system, it makes people stupid. The health system, it makes people feel ill. It's so crazy. And this power we've given to governments, and that was supposed to be their responsibility to look after the people. But they can't even do that. This monster that we've put our efforts and our energy into, this big Frankenstein's monster called government, it's not evil, it's just not capable. It's just incapable to look after people. It's just incapable of having empathy for people. It's incapable of knowing what the love from a mother to a child is. It's incapable of understanding what it's like to need money, just a few dollars. Because these days we can't live without paying. We can't have a roof over our heads without paying for it. We can't have food without paying for it. When surely all of those things were provided on this earth a long, long time ago. Now we could argue all kinds of arguments. But we all live here, we all need to eat, we all need to drink. It shouldn't be a competition. It really shouldn't be a competition. And it's not really a competition, but in order to keep things going, in order to keep people of the nation, of that language, in order to keep that all under control, to control people's behaviour, they need to fill us with fear, whoever they are, the government. It seems like there's two types of people in this world, really. Those who want to control others, and those who want to set others free. I'm the latter. I want to set you free, even if it means you running away from me. I'd much rather know that you was here with me through free will than trying to keep you here. I'd much rather take a gift or a present from you knowing that you'd given it free will rather than stealing or taking or extorting that off you. There's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we can do, and a lot of small actions. We need to stop thinking too big and outside of our nations, because nations portray this idea that we're all helpless. We're all just helpless little people. When between nations, there's a lot of illusions going on. We don't know what's going on in other countries. It's good to have this transparency and to keep an eye open and know what's being told about the world. But it's only within arm's reach. I can only reach this far. That's all I can do. And maybe that's enough. That's enough. The answer's in our hands, you know. And so just bear it in mind. Bear it in mind that sometimes, looking at the bigger problems of nations is just a distraction, really, from the smaller powers that we've got in our own, local regions. Just bear that in mind. There's people around you that need you, more than people who are miles and miles away, who speak a totally different language, have a different culture. And yeah. All right, then. Have a good time. See you later. Cheerio.